welcome to my channel. If you are new, my name is Mina. I'm a culinary school grad, former professional cook. We're making more real food today. We're making chili, and most importantly, we're making pita bread. A lot of people requested this on Instagram, so I figured why not? This is such an easy bread to make. Anyone could make this. If you're watching this video right now, I guarantee you can make this at home. Beautiful, puffy, fluffy pita bread at home. Don't buy the stuff in the stores anymore. Just make your own with only 4 ingredients. So that's what we're making today. And the chili is really good too, but really to me the bread is the star of this video. The bread is always the star. If you follow me on Instagram, you know how much I like bread. So I'm gonna be putting in some bread recipes in the next few videos. So before we make the chili, let's make the dough for the pita bread because it's gonna take about an hour for it to rise. So we wanna be efficient and let that happen as we're making the chili. We only need 4 ingredients for this, just flour, water, salt, and yeast. That's it, that's all you need. If you have a KitchenAid, feel free to use it if you want. You can just throw all the ingredients in the KitchenAid and just mix it all up for about 10 minutes or so and it'll be done. But I'm gonna do it in a bowl. I'm gonna do it by hand because I wanna show you that it's possible, it's easy, you can do it at home. All you need is a bowl and these 4 ingredients and you can make amazing pita bread at home. Probably also gonna have the baker's percentages recipe on the screen just to show you that in case you want to scale it up or down. It's so easy to scale up or down. That's how I developed this recipe using the baker's percentage. If you don't know what that is, go watch my pizza video. I will link that up there. Go watch specifically the math part of it. I have it labeled the math. Go watch that. It's going to explain everything about the baker's percentage. If you're even remotely interested in making bread, you need to know this. So just go check that out. It's gonna explain everything to you. I'm actually using 2 different kinds of flour. I'm using bread flour, which is white, and I'm using whole wheat flour because I just like a little bit of whole wheat in my pita. You don't have to use whole wheat. You don't even have to use the bread flour. If all you have is AP flour, that's fine. You could use that too. It's not a problem. First, weigh your dry ingredients. I'm doing 20% whole wheat flour. That's just a percentage that I tried and I like. You're gonna use whole wheat flour. Feel free to change it up. Try different percentages. It's really just a preference thing. I'm using about 7 grams of salt, which is a little bit on the high side for this amount of flour. I just like this pita bread salty. If you don't, I would suggest keep it to like 4 to 5 grams instead. And this is the yeast that I pretty much always use now, is Red Star instant yeast. I moved away from the active dry yeast and I found out that instant yeast is just better. This is just a better product because you can mix it in with the dry ingredients. You get exactly the same effect. It's actually more concentrated, so you need less of it. There's just a lot of reasons to use this as opposed to the other stuff. This is the stuff to use from now on. If you're gonna make bread, just go get yourself some instant yeast. I'm gonna be making a few bread recipes and they're all gonna be based on instant yeast. That being said, you can absolutely use active dry yeast if that's all you have. You just need to mix it with a little bit of water first just to activate it before you add it in here. This should be about half a packet of yeast. So if you wanna just make this recipe, get a packet of yeast. You can make it twice or you can just make a big batch. So to mix this, you can just use your hand if you want. You can use a dough whisk, not a regular whisk, a dough whisk. My personal favorite thing to use is a metal chopstick because it's almost non-stick. It's really easy to mix with. It keeps your hands clean. You could use your hand here if you want, but I actually bring in my dough scraper. This is why I tell you that the dough scraper is important, and just start to bring it all together with the dough scraper. But again, you could just use your hand here if you want. It's just the dough scraper is a little bit more non-stick and I'm not gonna lose more dough. So you can also do autolyse method on this bread where you just leave the water and the flour hydrate with each other to help develop gluten. But to me, pita bread, one of the advantages about it is that it's a quick bread. And when I want it very quickly. So I'm showing you the quickest way to make this. All right, so we got the dough ball, it's coming together, and now we just need to knead it. So everyone has their own way of kneading. This is the way that I like to do it. It should take you about 8 to 10 minutes maybe. What I like to do is I like to use my left hand, I fold it like this, and then you use the heel or the palm of your right hand and just give it a good push, kind of rotate it, keep doing the same, fold, push. It should start to get smoother as you keep going. So after about 8 or so minutes of kneading, it should look very smooth. It should look something like this. Now it's gonna go back into the same bowl with a cover, and we're gonna let it rise in a warm place for about an hour. This is gonna depend on your environment. I'm gonna put mine in the oven because it's a cold day today and my kitchen is a little chilly. Let's go over the list of ingredients that we need for the chili real quick. We need some kind of ground beef or ground turkey or some kind of ground anything. I'm using lean beef here. Use whatever you want, obviously. 2 onions and 3 cloves of garlic. These onions are small, that's why I'm using 2, and these garlic cloves are humongous, that's why I'm using 3. Otherwise, probably 1 onion, 5 cloves of garlic. I like my chili heavy on the tomato, so we're doing fresh tomatoes. You can do the diced tomatoes that come in a can, that's absolutely fine. The reason that I'm using these is because they're really soft and old. They've been in my fridge for a while and this is a perfect time to use them. And then I'm also doing tomato sauce and tomato paste. For more liquid, I'm doing beef broth. This is homemade beef broth that I like to make at home. You can just use water. You can use the store-bought stuff if you want, but make your own at home if you can. And let me know if you want to see a video on broth and stocks. And then of course we need some kind of beans in the chili. So I'm doing 2 kinds of beans, dark red kidney beans and black beans. If you want to save on the calories, you could leave the black beans out. You could go a little bit less on the black beans and the beans. But to me, the macros and the calories for this meal are really good. I really like where the calories to protein ratio is for this. This is really ideal for me. And then we need some spices, chili flakes, chili powder, cumin, oregano, and these are optional, bay leaf and cinnamon stick. I like to put just half a cinnamon stick in there. I just think it brings a little bit more oomph in there. It's good. And that's it. Let's just get to cooking. So we're gonna do a tablespoon of oil, but not all at once. I'm gonna put half of it now and half of it later on as I need it. The first thing to go in is the onions and the garlic, a little bit of salt and pepper. Make sure it's freshly cracked, please. And right now I'm going to bloom the spices in the oil, which is gonna bring out its flavor a lot more than if you were just to add it in the liquid or just to add it in at the end. And then right away, so this doesn't burn, I'm gonna move everything over to the side and then add the meat. And this is a good time to add the rest of the oil into. Now just make sure that you break up all this meat. And then we're gonna season the meat, plenty of salt and pepper. So once you break up the meat, just let it brown for a little bit. If you don't have browning, you don't have any flavor. You need to build flavor. All right, so as you can see, the meat is brown, but it's not fully cooked. And this is the perfect time right now to add all the tomato products. The order of operations here actually matters. So first thing we wanna do is we wanna add the tomato paste and we wanna brown that. You really wanna brown that tomato paste to get deep caramelized flavors. And you should have all these little brown bits on the bottom of the pot. We want that. That's a good thing. That's the fond and that's flavor. That's all the flavor that's in the meat, all the caramelized sugars that's in the meat. That's deep, deep flavor. And to use all those flavors, we need to deglaze with something. So in this case, I'm deglazing with the fresh tomatoes. I'm gonna cook this until the tomatoes start to cook down a little bit and kind of make their own sauce. And then I'm gonna add the tomato sauce and then the stock and just let this cook. And make sure to scrape the bottom of that pan. You want all these little brown bits. That's flavor. That is flavor. That's so Tomatoes all pretty much broke down. So I'm just gonna add the tomato sauce now and then the beef stock. Add your beans. These are drained, by the way. 2 bay leaves and a small cinnamon stick. This one's about this big. Oh. It's been about an hour and the dough looks like it's done. When you give it a poke, it shouldn't bounce back at you. It should keep that shape. This is what I'm gonna cook the bread on. So it's gonna go in the oven and I'm gonna turn the broiler on high. Now, if you don't have a cast iron, you don't have to use one. You could use a sheet tray, just a regular old sheet tray, but it may warp on you a little bit because of the heat. You could also use a regular cast iron pan. This will also work. This piece of dough should make 5 pitas. If you want to weigh it out, you should get 80 grams per pita, just around there. So I'm just gonna eyeball it at first and then just double check it on the scale. All right, so now we're gonna make them into balls, and we have to let them rest for a little bit, or what's called a bench rest. And we do that because we worked the dough, so it needs to rest for a little bit before we use the rolling pin and roll them out. Let me just show you one here. So I like to fold over all the pieces like this. You can also do it on the bench like that, and then just fold in all pieces. Fold all the edges in, fold them all in until you have a nice tight ball. And then you can give it a roll on the bench just to make it a little bit tighter. I'm gonna cover them and let them rest for about 10 to 15 minutes just for the gluten to relax before we roll them out. If you don't have a rolling pin, you don't really need one. You can use a lot of household items. For example, you could use a wine bottle. That's one of the best things that you could use. Or you could actually use one of these spray cans. This will also work. Just make sure it's clean. By now, the chili should be all good to go. It took about an hour. I would say a little over an hour. It's gonna depend on how much liquid you have in here and also what kind of consistency you like. So this is perfect for me. I'm just gonna turn the heat off and let it cool for a little bit. So the gluten's all relaxed. Now we can roll them out. If you see that the dough isn't relaxed and it's kind of trying like to fight you back, then just let it relax. Just let it sit for a little bit longer and just let the gluten relax some more. Cool down a little bit, and I'm gonna put it in this container to store it in the fridge later on. Make sure that you splash it all over the place. Also, full disclosure, I had like 5 spoonfuls already. It's pretty good. If you follow this exact same recipe, it should give you 3 servings. Each serving is about 2 cups. So this is 6 cups or 1.5 cups. That's some good chili. That is some good chili. It's just right on. You can even taste the cinnamon in there. All the way in the back. It's like all the way in the back over here. And really the superstar of the video, the bread. That's satisfying. If you watched my vegetable video, which a lot of you haven't watched it, go check it out. I talked about satisfying food and how real food, a lot of times, it's just so much more satisfying to eat, and this just hits the spot. This recipe makes 3 servings. Each serving is 2 cups. So if you made it the same way exactly that I did, this bowl should have 700 calories with 64 grams of protein. And that's really good for me right now because I am maintaining, so I'm not really on a cut. I'm not looking to go super low on the calories. But if you want to cut more calories in this, you can use water instead of the stock. You don't have to use the oil. You could use some kind of an oil spray. And you don't have to use the 2 kinds of beans. You can just maybe use 1 bean, or you can just cut down on the amount of beans. So those are options that you could lower the calories even more. But I think this is just a very good balanced way between the calories, the macros, the taste, and just the overall satisfaction of this dish. And then as far as the sour cream, I think 2 tablespoons has 25 calories, so it's really not that big of a deal. The pita bread. Each pita bread, if you do this the same exact way and you make 5 pitas, you should get around 185 calories in each pita bread. Now that I think about it, this is a big serving. 2 cups. Also needs more cilantro. Never have enough cilantro. All right, I'm gonna go sit down and enjoy this. So let me know in the comments what you wanna see as usual. This was also one of your recommendations. I know you guys wanna see some baked goods and desserts, and those will be coming. Probably the next video, if not the one after it. There's a lot of baked goods and desserts planned. Don't worry, they're coming. You'll know why. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.